Hello Market Club members everywhere. Adam Hewison here, coming to you from the digital studios of Market Club. Well, it's the 12th of October, and we're just really not that far away from the U.S. elections, and I think that's what's causing a lot of uncertainty in the market. But what I want to bring to your attention today is something I noticed in gold that I think is really interesting. And if you look historically, and this is all of this year, of course, and if you look to see where the market has gone below the 30 mark, right here, here, and here. Okay, that's very oversold, we know that, but look what happens if we put our trade triangles in, the weekly ones. Okay, so we put them in. There's the first one right there on the 5th of January at 1,081. You would have gotten in here just because it was oversold. It came back up. The weekly kicked in. That was the buy signal. You would have gotten out at 1,215. $1.85 on the 28th of March, and that produced a profit. This is the key thing. So this move from basically here to here gave you a profit of $13,200. Now that's in a perfect world. Of course it'd be slippage, but nonetheless that is a huge profit in a very short period of time. But it was basically kicked off because the market went below here, came back and gave us a weekly buy signal shortly thereafter. The other one to look at is right here, when we had a buy signal and it kicked in right at this point here, and that was on June 12th at $1,277. So it's $1,277, and you exited the position right here, and that was on August 24th at 8/24. And that was at 13.30. These numbers you can check with your own Market Club membership, and that produced a profit of $5,300. Now, just combine those two alone, that's $18,500. Now, the amount of investment to trade a contract of gold is about $3,000 or $4,000 currently. So you can see it's a huge profit based on the leverage in gold futures contracts. But nonetheless, the trend has been very steady, up, up. We've had a pullback here, and we're in the zone right now where we want to watch for another weekly to kick in. And when that does, we want to be buying gold because we think there's a good chance we're going to see a profit of at least $5,000 on the upside per contract. So that's what you want to look for in gold. Every time we get into an extremely oversold condition, you want to be a buyer. And you want to be a buyer only when the weekly kicks in, because that's the key indicator. Look, we've only had 2 signals this year when we've been in this extremely oversold condition. So think about that just for a moment. We're on the 10th, the 10th month, and here we've only had 2 signals for the entire year. So if we see another signal and we're oversold like this, and we come back up, let's say, then you want to be a buyer. We're looking at Amazon. Amazon's had an amazing run, and if we put our monthly trade triangles in, you'll see we'll have to go back further because we've been bullish on Amazon for quite some time. The last signal we had, there's the monthly that kicked in on April 29th at $657, and you can see that we got out of that, took us profit, got back in on July 6th at $728, and here it is $100 later. We're still long and bullish. Potentially, I think Amazon's going to psychologically go for the $1,000 a share mark. I think really that's it. Today it announced a new service, a new music service tied into its Prime, very successful membership. They have millions of members in Prime. I'm a member myself, but they're also going to tie it into the Echo system they came out with, where you just ask Alexa anything and they tell you what you want to know, which is really cool. So they've sold last year, I think they sold 4 million units, and I think this year they're scheduled to send 10, or next year 10 million units. So it's a pretty interesting thing. I think subscriptions are going to be the magic for all of these things. I think Apple discovered that, of course, but you really want to be looking at Amazon. Maybe some pullback to the 50 line. We got down to, let's say, the 60, 64. Maybe that's going to be it, but just give it some time. But I really want to be looking to stay long Amazon. Really like this stock. I think Jeff Bezos is just doing a great job. He is the new Steve Jobs. So let's move on. This is Apple stock. You see it's had a really nice move up. We're currently trading 116.97. A lot has to do with Samsung. Samsung basically pulled off its Samsung Note 7 phone for exploding and causing fires. I mean, who would want to have that in your pocket? Flew down to Chattanooga, and they actually made an announcement about you'd had to get rid, you could not use that phone, and you probably would get kicked off the flight if you had one on you. So very, very strict. It's the death of certainly that phone. They'll come out with another one. Of course, Samsung's the leader in smartphones in terms of manufacturing. But again, looking at Apple, it looks like if you just look, I'll just give you a quick idea of what I think could happen to Apple. And that is, I think this moving over this point right here was really, really important. So if you just move that over like that. So it came back down, that's support level. And you look at this sort of bottoming action. I think we could go, let's say, from the 95 level. We'll call this 110. That's $15. I think we'd be looking at 125 as a target zone for Apple. Again, that's what I think is going to happen to Apple. This is November crude oil. Crude oil has been actually bullish. You can see the monthly just kicked in recently on 1010 and 51.20. That's the first time that's been in place for a long time. And also we have the weekly, of course, kicked in at 48.32. So again, this looks very, very good in terms of the trend is very strong. And if you scope this out to a max, crude oil has come from, we're trading up towards $90 or $100 not that long ago. We're talking, maybe five years ago, and now we're down here. So I think we could see this market jump back up. In fact, if we put our Fibonacci retracement levels on here, go from here down to the lows, we could be looking certainly at a $62, $63 level for crude oil, which is quite a bit higher. It's about a 26% move from where we are right now. So watch that carefully. The trend is your friend. The trend is clearly up in crude oil, and any pullbacks are going to be met with good support. As you can see, this is the S&P 500. It's just choppy action. Really very hard to predict, but this is just a good news, bad news, good news, bad news. And it seems like we are trending lower, though. I mean, you have to look at our trade triangles, which have been basically negative from 2,160, and that is quite some time ago. If we scope this out just a little bit further, you can see this is where we kicked in on the September 1st. That's over a month ago. We said to get out. There's no reason to be in this market right time. It's proven to be very, very accurate. Watch these trade triangles. They're very powerful, not only in gold, but also in the equities as well. So let's move on. Pretty much the same picture in the Dow. You can see right here, this kicked in on 8/31, August 31st to get out, be on the sidelines, and it's proven to be very accurate as the market just sort of moved sideways. Not much going on right now, and it's really a toss and tumble between, I think, the Fed raising interest rates and the election. So I think nothing's going to happen until something happens in that arena. So let's move on. Now the Nasdaq's a little bit different because we have our trade triangles are all positive, and we just dipped below the 50 line yesterday. So I think we may see more back and forth, but the trend in the Nasdaq, and it's largely thanks to, I think, to Amazon and some other stocks, tech stocks that have done very well. So let's see how that plays out. But generally speaking, be careful, keep your powder dry, and remember, take a look at gold, watch it, put it on your radar screen, and let's see how that plays out. Hey, I'm Adam Hewison from MarketClub. Thanks for stopping by. This video's taken a little longer than we expected, but we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch it, and we appreciate your business. Have a great trading day, everyone.